Podcast. If you're ready to grow, then let's go. This is the Lincoln County Podcast. Hey, yo, Matt, let's start the show.
Hey, I just want to say thank you to all the sponsors of the Lincoln County Podcast. Hozak Plumbing, Simply Worth, Medical Weight Loss, Town & Country Insurance, The Guild, and Boyer Academy. Thank you guys for your sponsorship, and thank you for making the Lincoln County Podcast possible. Just want to say thank you to everyone at Boyer Academy. Without the success of Boyer Academy and all the families there, I wouldn't have met all these wonderful people in and around Lincoln County that have came on the Lincoln County Podcast. So without you guys, none of this would really be possible. Having this has been a dream come true to sit down and talk to so many business owners and share my experiences at Boyer Academy, their experiences and successes with their business with everyone in and around our local area. Hey guys, welcome to Lincoln County Podcast. As always, I'm very excited to have my guest on today. I would say of the guest I've had on, I've known this one the longest. Yeah, I think that's safe to say. So we're going to get right into today. Before we do, like and subscribe, share the podcast, share all the cool things going on in Lincoln County. We are bringing on so many new guests and so many different things as we hit the last final part of 2024 that we're really looking forward to just bringing you guys some really neat topics and some things that you're not seeing every day. You're really not seeing them anywhere else but here on the Lincoln County Podcast. So I'm going to turn it over to my guest to introduce herself today, and we are going to get started. Hi.
My name's Riley, and I'm 18. I am a student at Missouri S&T in Rolla, Missouri. I've also been teaching Taekwondo and youth kickboxing at Boyer Academy for several years now. And yeah, that's about it.
So what are you going to school for? What are you studying exactly?
I'm studying architectural engineering.
What's that mean?
So it's like architecture, but more of like...
So don't say it's like architecture with engineering.
It's architecture, but you look in on it more.
So do you design the stuff or do you analyze it? Like the structural part of it is like you check out like the structural engineering part too, or
you do both. I'm interested more in the designing aspect, which a lot of people aren't. So I've found that that's like a much needed area.
I feel like that was a really hot field when I was getting out of high school.
I was
told
like really
that,
big. And I was really confused.
Yeah, I would have thought I thought that was like a really big field.
Yeah, I went to I learned about one of the companies and they were like, nobody wants to do the designing, they just want to do the building part. And I was like, huh.
I would have thought that would have been exactly the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Wow. So like what made you want to pursue that?
Honestly, my mom pushed me to try an engineering class in high school and I really, really liked it.
Really?
And I was too chicken to do it myself, but she made me put it on my schedule, and then I was like, oh, I actually like this. And then there was 2 areas of that class that I liked, so then the next year I took those 2 classes and figured out which one I liked, and I really liked the designing houses and all that stuff. So, and it made sense because when I was younger, I would go through my stuff now and just find floor plans and sketches of things, and my mom's like, this just makes sense for you.
That's cool.
And I agreed. I was like, yeah, I really like this.
Sometimes in life, it's nice to have somebody that's looking from the outside to say, hey, what do you think about this? Because there's some stuff you just don't see. Yeah. I spoke on a podcast the other day about if I would do anything different in my life. And I said, the only thing I would do is I would love to have found personal development stuff when I was your guys' age, not my age. Like I would love to have found it when I was younger because that outside perspective is really nice. So with the designing and everything, like what all kind of goes into that? Because I guess there's an architect, an architectural engineer. Those are different, correct?
Yeah. Yes. A lot of people think they're the same thing. Yeah. But to me, I chose engineering over just architecture because architects are known to make things just look pretty. They're not...
That's what I was going to ask.
Functionally sound. Like, you'll walk into a house and you'll see something and be like, that doesn't make sense. So, like, to me, it's like I want to be able to look at something and make it more functional than it just look pretty. I want it to look pretty and be functional. Like,
that makes sense. That's where the engineering comes in,
Yeah.
understanding the structural part of it
Yeah.
too. I always wondered that with building stuff out. I'm a daydreamer, and I've always thought about building plans for a house, or because I'd like to have a house with like a detached garage office workspace type thing to where I could run everything from my own property. And it was like, well, do I meet with an architect? Are they going to do the CADs? Are they going to make it to where, because a friend of mine built a house, and when he's the only client I've ever worked with that did this. I don't know how much money he spent. I got the blueprints, and then I got 3D ones too, with even the paint colors he picked in it.
Yeah.
Like, it was down to every detail, and it was great for me because I could visualize everything. And I've always thought about doing that as like a goal. Okay, cool. I've designed it because I've sketched all the stuff, but I'm terrible at that. But, I guess that's where the engineering part comes into saying, oh, okay, if you wanted to go this many stories, well, now you're going to have this and this in play. So this might not work.
Yeah. And there's actually softwares that we get for free because of the school. One's Revit, and you can just basically sketch it out, and then it turns 3D, and then you adjust the things, and you can see the actual house in 3D. And they're actually working on VR,
Yeah.
so you can walk through it and stuff, which
I've
I
heard
think's
that,
really
yeah.
cool. So yeah, but
How close are they on that?
I know they're doing it at my school, like testing it and stuff. They have it working, but it's a lot of data and stuff.
Yeah.
It takes a very large computer to get it to work. I don't know how close they are to being finished, but
Yeah, I would think with the VR technology and everything else they're doing these days, that it's more of just getting everything into the system, and would be a pretty practically applied pretty quickly.
They have it working, but they're on a very small scale right now.
Yeah, oh, for sure, sure. That's really cool, though, because, I was listening to a podcast the other day. They were talking about some of the new VR video games where you go places and you're on like a track floor that moves with you shooting and all that stuff that they say is just insanely realistic.
Yeah.
So I would think doing VR CADs of structures wouldn't
Yeah.
be too far away.
No, and I think it's really cool.
That's super cool, because for someone like me, I'm very visual. When we get just flat blueprints on houses and stuff,
Yeah.
I can put a lot of it together in my head because I've been in so many houses. But I know, like, Casey will look at them, she's like, what's this? Like, she hasn't physically been in them, to where when you have that 3D imagery, it really brings it to life.
Yeah.
That was my thought with design in the office and that stuff. I've got it all in my head, and having it all like designed out to where then it would be like the most motivating thing ever, because you can, man, it's just been a bad day, sales are down, whatever, and you click and you could like tour the op, be like, man, this is so close. Like, it would be really cool. So with the structure, with the architectural engineering, like, what's your plan after school with it? Like, it seems like there would be tons of opportunity with that. If it's not a severely sought after field, it seems like there's quite a bit of application for that, even entrepreneurially.
Yeah, I was interested in maybe several years down the line opening my own. It would be hard to do that, I feel like, but there are several places locally that have the kind of job that I'm looking for.
Really?
And so I'm planning on interning like next summer and in summers after that until I graduate to kind of figure out where I want to go. But honestly, I see myself in residential design, like houses, apartments, maybe office buildings, stuff like that. Commercial, I could do, but I'm not as interested in that because it's just like big warehouses and stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely see myself working in a local area,
That's
not
cool.
going too far.
There's a lot of custom home builders and probably a ton of opportunity for stuff like that, especially if the housing market takes off. I know it's something that I deal with the painting side, talking to people all the time, and if they have a blue collar background, they've been in a lot of houses, I think it's a little easier for them, or for some of us, where like I'll meet with a husband and wife, they're doing a custom home, and the husband's maybe a carpenter or, a painter, whatever, does blue collar trades. I see it a lot. There's things that make sense to us. When Casey and I shopped for our house, there were things that I would see that I was like, ew, that she's like, what's wrong with that? I'm like, and I could see that being a really cool thing. There's remind me when we get done, I'm gonna have you follow this builder. They do insane custom houses. They just did one. They've been putting up a ton of content. And I've known this guy since he was just doing garages. And that type of stuff I could see you doing where they're, I mean, these are probably $20 million houses. Like, they're insane. And like, the designing and the layout beforehand, I could see you getting into that. And it makes a lot of sense, too, with your art and the shoes and the different things you like to do, that would be a very passionate career for you.
Yeah, I do like interior design as well, but I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand depending on what I end up doing.
Yeah, but you're going to get paid a lot more as the engineering side and everything there, the architectural. That's going to be a much less diluted trade that probably does require the education. There's a lot of people out there I know that do great as decorators, trust me, and interior designers that have the degrees in it and everything, but you also have a lot of people out there who just go to the colors. Yeah. So I think where you're going with it's going to be much better for you. That's awesome. Did you feel a passion for that before you did the class at school, or?
I didn't know what it was.
Really?
So I didn't honestly
You had like no clue?
No. I didn't really know what engineering was either, so until I took the class.
It's a pretty blanket term.
Yeah, and then I got in the class and I was like, there's so many different areas and so many completely different things that you can do. Like, you could work with electricity, you could work with metals, you could work with whatever.
Yeah.
And they're so different at the same time. Like, they're all in one category, but they're all different.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's a friend of mine's an aeronautical engineer. So that's with aviation. Like, there's so many different titles, and they throw engineer on the end of it that there's, like I said, it's a very broad, I guess broad term would be a better way to put it. So that's really neat. And I could see you doing that with your love of art and everything. That would be, you want to find something that you love to do.
Yeah.
That's why I've always stuck with martial arts. Even on the worst nights we have up there where kids don't listen, grumpy parents, whatever it is, whatever's going on, which is very few nights that we have that, I still love being up there. I don't ever leave the school and been like, man, I wish I'd just been at home tonight. Yeah. Like, I'll say I'm tired, but there's never been a night that there's never been a tournament where I don't want to be there. Yeah. So it's important because as you grow older, that passion for what you do, it truly is. When people are like, oh, I don't work, I love what I do. That's so true. Like, I had a long talk with Jess after you fought in Florida about it, because I was headed home. Casey started texting me questions about painting, and I was like, bleh. I was so irritated. I got so agitated from it. But yet we had been running all over the hotel, everything we had going on that weekend, and I didn't feel a bit of stress. I loved it. Like, I was nervous for you fighting. Yeah. And I was anxious keeping track of stuff, but it wasn't the same as, hey, this guy wants to change his colors last minute and I'm ticked off. Like, doing what you love makes such a difference in your life. Yeah. I've met so many different people that picked the job, or I've hired guys that just became painters because, nothing else was good. Yeah. Whereas the guys I hired that just like it and enjoy it are so much better to be around.
Yeah, and they don't care about the pay either.
It's not even that. I mean, everybody cares about you got to make a living. Yeah. But you're not doing it for the pay. Yeah. You come in every day, and it's like my thing. Like, I was telling them, I just bid a house. Went over to Color Consult this morning. The house next door to hers was my first ever job mowing lawns. The old lady that lived there, Marie, I mowed her grass for $20 when I was 11 years old, which was big. $20 to mow a lawn back then was actually pretty good money. I'm super excited to do this lady's house because it's beige with red shutters and a burnt orangey red. It's just ugly. It's dated. We're going to do the house like a teal gray, whitewash all the brick, different accents. And we sat down, did a color consult, kind of designed everything today. And that was, I really like that, to where I kind of get almost emotionally married to those jobs because I have fun doing it. And I'm actually going to move my schedule around because I physically want to go paint it.
Yeah, you get excited about it.
Yeah, I want to go do it. Plus, it backs up to my dad's house, and I'm in the process of cleaning his house up. So I'm like, oh, this will be perfect.
Yeah.
When you get really into what you're doing, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where you'll go far with it.
And you're not like, oh my God, I hate being here.
Yes. Well, you're not dreading it. You know, people are like, oh, the weekend's over. I wish I had an extra day. And it's like, man, if you love what you do. I sent Casey a clip of a podcast the other day. They were filming on the 4th of July. And it was Andy Frechella. Everybody listens. Everybody knows I'm a huge Andy Frechella fan. He was like, I like to work. I just like it. I wanted to come in today and do this. I had fun doing it. And I sent to Casey because it's exactly word for word what I do. And everybody's like, just take a day off. No, I like what I do.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. You know, it's been kind of the bummer this year with us not doing Worlds. I had fun getting ready for Worlds, even as much as we pushed and stressed, and the meal preps and the runs and the sprints and the more sprints and the more runs and the more meal prep and the more chicken and the more rice.
Yep.
I kind of miss it this year. Like, we're just up there doing team. We're like, yeah, just getting ready for the tournament. You know, it's not the same, like, go time. We come in, hoodies up, earphones in, like, getting it. Like, I was sitting there watching us last night, and I'm like, oh, I kind of miss that. Like, it's good that we got the year off because you guys have had, like, massive amounts of stuff going.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, there is a fun in that process.
You fell in love with the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tara and I talk about that at the gym. Like, it's not so much the comps, it's just the process.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm helping Jordan get ready. I dropped 15 pounds. Like, I was like, all right, you're going to eat like this and this and this. And I started doing it too. And I was laughing. I'm like, here I go again. Like, I'm prepping for the fight and I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
So, you know, you started, little background, you started Taekwondo how many years ago?
10 and a half.
I was like, we're going on year 11.
Yeah.
I was telling someone at the other night, they're like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, Riley's going on 11. Do you remember what month?
I think it was January.
January?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I could see your mom doing January just because it started the new year. I could see your mom doing that.
Yeah.
I remember. So the pictures I got from classes back then, it was Forest L, so you can't see out the window. But I think you're right, because that was always a big time. So I started Taekwondo mid-June, because the way I remember that, I was a white belt when we did O'Fallon's 4th of July parade. The guy had a tractor. We walked in it, so I always know it was like late June, because I'd only been in class. I didn't know anyone yet. I just remember doing the parade. I think that's why I get excited when our white belts come and do the parade, when they like just sign up and they come do it, because that's what I did.
Hi, my name is Scott Lutz with Town & Country Insurance. We specialize in personal lines and business insurance. We're at 502 East Cherry Street here in Troy, Missouri. You can also find us online at TCI4U.com. We would love to earn your business.
So you're going on 11 years.
Yeah.
We have done a lot and gone to a lot of stuff. What, I guess, not to make you narrow it all down, but like, what are some of your highlights? What are some of your favorite moments? Like, I think we've all got those in our head when you've been doing something this long that are like little highlight things.
I think going to Florida was one of mine.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time that I had gotten super slim.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, holy cow. Like, that's the biggest thing, was just the weight cut, I guess. But
well, that was like what wouldn't you say it's a weight cut? Is anybody listening, if they're a fighter, like, oh, weight cut, 3 months, whatever. But that was like 6 months of, like, you lost how much weight total from weigh-ins?
50 pounds.
I thought it was closer to 60.
It was between,
between 50 and 60, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You lost a ton of weight, completely changed your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was big.
Yeah. And the first 30 pounds I did lose by myself.
Yep.
Just, I used to overeat, and I stopped overeating, and then I started kickboxing, and that just, it fell right off. But the other 20 was with Jess's help. That was for Florida specifically.
Yeah.
And
That was to get you in the weight class we
yeah.
wanted you.
And I just remember looking at the pictures, and I was just like, holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
I could have never pictured myself like that ever.
Well, it was awesome. It was the whole experience, and you get in the ring and the fight, like the whole thing was just like every moment of it's imprinted in my head. The rule changes because then we have to get you a different helmet. We had to switch
yeah,
up.
I think so.
There was a helmet thing because my helmet wasn't legal anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just the whole thing in general was huge.
Yeah.
Was a huge accomplishment, a huge feat. But other than that, because I can go on about that one for hours, like that was just insane. That's actually when I was coming home, when I was having the talk with Jess about all the stress, because it was so great down there.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What's been another one?
Wales. That was because I made it to the finals, and just the energy when I was fighting, just everyone was chanting and cheering super loud, and it motivated me to keep going because I was so exhausted, and I just was like giving it my all, and even if I lost, I was just happy with how I did, and I kept going, and I didn't give up.
That was a tall girl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it. I remember the pictures us sitting there, but I couldn't remember if that was the finals or not because I remember your head movement was really good. It was just a much different fighter we're used to.
And I just tried to go for the body, but it just wasn't enough.
Wasn't she? She was like a lot taller than you, wasn't it?
She was like 6 foot something.
Yeah, she was a lot taller than you. I remember that because that was a hard fight though because she struggled with the axe kicks on your head.
Yeah.
That was a huge accomplishment too because again, traveling and making weight was brutal. I think I missed by a pound. I think I was off by a pound, something like that, because I did eat a little on the plane and I shouldn't have. And that was because all the sodium in it. But that was, that whole process, like in your mind, what are those like? I know what they're like on my side, being there, coaching you guys, working with you guys through everything, and watching the transformation and watching everything. What's it like from your side?
Honestly, some days I just want to quit and give up because it's like mentally hard. Because you get the cravings and you're just exhausted or you just want to eat one bite of something but you can't. Like, that's hard. It's specifically the food for me, at least.
Me too. The food's always the hard part for me. I have a terrible palate. I like junk food.
And the training, same. And the training is not hard because I like doing it, like lifting weights and all that stuff. I also hate running, so I did not like that.
None of us do.
But
psychos like running.
But honestly, I think it was just a mentally challenging thing because I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I'm going across the world to fight people I don't even know or from a different country. I was just honestly like kind of winging it.
We all were. It was our first time.
I don't know. I remember getting there, and I was just like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And then I saw who I had to fight, and then I got in my head about it, and I was like, okay, tomorrow I won't do this. I can do better than I did today, because it was a week long, and so I had days to, like, mentally prepare about it. And
we had to get through the semifinals and then do it again for the finals.
Yeah.
That was the part I tell everybody was the hardest. Like, getting everybody through the semifinals, getting us all qualified for the finals, keeping all of us out of our heads.
Yeah.
Because it was long, exhausting days, getting everybody dialed back in. When I had people asking me about it, I was like, that was the hardest part, was like getting everybody out of their heads, getting letting us get our boo-hooing over with and get right back at it. And it was just brutal.
And it was hard because I'm representing the U.S. and I didn't want to look bad, I guess.
Well, it puts a different level of responsibility on it because it's not the mentality of me. I'm going out there because of me. It's you're going out there because you're part of the Team USA.
Yeah, and like I remember them telling us like we don't want to look like a bunch of crybabies. So if you get upset, separate yourself because I do remember that happening, and I got upset about something, and I was like, okay, I just need to step outside, breathe, and calm myself down, and then I went back in there and watched whatever.
Yeah.
Because...
And that's the true part of the champion. That's the true thing that this teaches that people don't see. Different things I've went on lately, I've discussed this, that it's the process, it's the controlling the emotions, it's you're part of something bigger than you. You're part of a team, but now you're part of Team USA. Like someone the other day, I was on a podcast, we were discussing team sports versus individual sports of martial arts. And I was like, well, we are an individual sport, but we operate as a team. Like dude, we're all over the place supporting each other, helping each other. We train together. And we're happy for each person's individual placing, but it's still as a team. I think it's just how it's taught. And that was the thing with over there, like getting you guys through that, getting everybody out of their heads, and you guys understanding that what your goal is and what you were doing.
Yeah.
And controlling it. Like it was much different than Florida.
Yeah.
Totally, people be like, oh yeah. And it's like, no, those were two different things when you're at a world's tournament like that.
Yeah.
Different feel, different vibe when you're getting to wrap yourself in the American flag and step on stage. Like there's nothing like that.
And it was kind of intimidating at times.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because like not only the height difference, because a lot of, specifically Germany, they were all much, much, much bigger than everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm 5'2", and they're all at least 6 foot. And so that was scary in itself. And then having to fight them with their axe kicks, and that was also scary.
Different language, the refs, the whole thing was extremely intimidating.
Yeah.
Just being able to keep yourself together for it was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, and I was scared I was going to miss something. I didn't want to miss my turn in the ring.
Yeah, we were I remember that. That was a big thing because them calling the names was rough.
The microphone you couldn't really hear. You had to be there ready, or else they would just like forfeit you basically. Yeah.
So what would you say would be, so like Florida's your top one, which makes sense. That was your first weight cut fight, since you've been doing kickboxing. That was one of those like, do you want to go? Yeah, I want to go down there and fight full contact. Like I was still caught off guard when you said you wanted to do that. I was shocked. So then, Wales is your second, traveling across the world, competing with Team USA, fighting over there, multiple matches. What would be your third? Like, what would be a third, like, big, a moment that stands out? It doesn't have to be a huge accomplishment, just something that stands out to you.
Honestly, I'd say Canada, even though it's the same, like, circuit as
different,
Wales. Though. But that's because I had to do everything myself. Because I was away at school, and it was much harder.
Totally different process.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I couldn't go, like, train with everyone. I had to watch what I eat. Like, I was accountable for everything myself. Yeah. And being at a college, it's hard to eat right. So I had to, like...
Oh, yeah, what do they call it? The freshman 5 or something? 15, freshman 15, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just, I had to spend a lot more money buying fresh food at a grocery store than using my meal plan, and I ended up having way more... I wasted half my meal plan that first semester because I had to eat better, and the food there is just not... Yeah. It wouldn't cut it.
Oh, I bet. It's really hard to balance that part. And then when you're away from home, first year at college, taking on something like you're going to go compete with Team USA, because you get qualified from the previous year, we put in all that work, and now you're going to go to another country. Got to make the weight. The weight cut was harder on you because you're away at school. You're not with your team. It's a totally different world. It's a totally different beast. And I think the coolest part for me, seeing you fight and everything, is I still remember it had to be our first OMN. That's the only one you went to originally, wasn't it? The first one?
I did two.
Did you two?
I don't remember.
I remember cornering you in point sparring. Maybe it was the second one. First or second one we went to.
I don't remember.
You point fought. I remember because I was really irritated because you really started showing the ring IQ. We switched feet. We did this, and
Yeah, I
you
remember
were throwing kicks, and the girl was stepping one way, so we turned. We did something. I forgot what we adjusted. We adjusted something on your kick.
I think it was to the left. Something to the left.
Yeah, it was something where we switched. Maybe we switched feet or something because the way she was stepping or where the judges were standing. I don't remember. I think it was the way she was stepping, because she would step and cut. So we started angling the side kick differently, and you adjusted. We still lost by like 1 point, but there was a huge adjustment. Made a comeback, lost by time. Could have beat her. I believe that was I think the year or two after that's when Emily was a color belt, and I had her switch feet. And the other kid didn't know what to do, and we beat him. That was a big one for me and her. But I remember that one with you especially because you're doing really well, and then you guys stopped tournaments. I think we did Wheatley's before that or something. We had a couple there where you went, and I was like, wow, really seeing some progress. And then you stopped doing the tournaments for a while. That was another like high spot for me and your martial arts evolution that it just really stands out to me as like an exceptional moment where you kind of leveled forward or leveled up and stuff. Everybody hits those, where it's like a do or die moment. We make an adjustment, you kind of your skill level increases. That's something I still remember, which that's been 7-8 years ago easily. It's been a long time ago because you were little. Yeah, you were a color belt.
I wasn't a black belt.
Yeah, you were a color belt. You were the blue or green, something like that. You weren't. Man, you'd had to be blue or brown, something up in there, because green belt would have been Forestell. You weren't silver. Yeah. We weren't doing those tournaments on. But it was an exceptional moment as you're kind of coming up in it.
Yeah.
Now with school, you're going to do this engineering. You're going to a great school. What's your how are you doing in your grades and everything?
I've kept a 4.0
nice.
So far. I made the dean's list. It's hard because it's a very niche school, but there's a lot of niches in the niche.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so it's hard to meet people, and the percentage of girls there is very, very low.
Yeah.
We just hit 25%.
Wow, it's that low. Wow.
Yeah. It should go up a little bit this next year. But it's very hard because as I get more into the advanced classes, like major specific, it's going to be less and less girls. And it's not upsetting, but it's like, well, dang.
Yeah.
I think the ratio is like 1 girl for every 10 guys. And that's a big thing in engineering specifically, which I already knew going into the school, but I feel like I don't want people to underestimate me.
Yeah.
And my goal, being at this school, is to encourage other women to join STEM. And after graduating or whatever job I get, I've never followed gender role stereotypes. And so I'm doing it because I want to. And a lot of girls get intimidated by the fact that there's no women, so that they want to do something, but they don't because it's just all men. And I feel like our world's starting to change slowly, so it's not as girls can't do this, guys have to do this. But it's still definitely like that in some areas.
There's still a lot of people that have that mentality. You would not believe how many people still will be like, can girls do Taekwondo?
Yeah.
Can girls kickbox? It's still, I know my face yells at them, even though my voice doesn't, because it just baffles me because our school is 60% girls.
Yeah.
And all of you guys that are instructors are girls. It's wild to even think that. But there are a lot of things like that. Our society is kind of divided that way in some fields.
Yeah.
But I work on job sites with female superintendents, female leads, female builders.
Yeah.
So I do see that coming down, and a lot more as that 60, 70-year-old male kind of retires off. Because I've lost builders before or lost contractors. One builder, because they didn't want to deal with Casey. They didn't want to deal with a woman. They wanted to deal with the man on the job site type stuff. And I just wouldn't tolerate it. I'm like, no, just because you're a dip, you're not getting my personal phone number to deal me a fit. You can deal with my office. We're not going to play telephone because you don't want to deal with a girl.
Yeah.
And I've talked to other females in the blue collar atmosphere that have come across that a lot, that. So I wouldn't have thought that with engineering, but that makes sense. I know people have went to Rolla and told me that before. It was a lot more guys than girls.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I'm Stu. I'm the founder and president of the Guild Men's Fellowship. As a first responder, I know firsthand what it's like to pour into your community and lose sight of personal aspirations. And that's why I founded the Guild. The Guild is a nonprofit that offers personal development programs to first responders and veterans since 2019. We offer our services completely free of charge. Peer support, critical incident stress debriefing, our flagship program, Stations Immersion Camp, and one-on-one coaching is accessible by people who apply and are approved through our website. Like all nonprofits, we need people and funding. And one of the ways that we've come up with to solve the funding issue is to take our curriculum and put it into modules that are teachable to your organization or agency. In this way, we can further your mission by putting your investment to work for people who have served. If you're interested in finding more information or applying for our services, or if you're interested in helping by booking us for trainings, keynotes, or consulting, visit our website, guildfellowship.com.
So in high school, when you graduated, we were sitting there reading through all your stuff, and it was funny because I thought there was just like, I didn't know what the little symbols all were until you stood up, sat down, stood up, sat down, stood up, sat down. So for everybody listening, what place in your graduating class were you? And what were all of those things you stood and sat for? If you remember all of them.
I'm going to try. I thought I was higher, but I guess I was 15 out of 150 or 70.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were higher in your class.
Yeah,
too.
it's only because my first 2 years I didn't really try.
Ah, okay.
And then I finally turned my stuff around junior year and got straight A's from then on. I graduated with a 3.8. It could have been rounded to a 3.9, but it wasn't.
They didn't know that out there. You could have just said 3.9.
Well,
you're good. I know you're being honest.
I had a weighted GPA of a 4.2, and that was just from engineering classes. I did not take any AP or honors. The awards I got top 10% of my class. I got National Honor Society. There's 6. I know that. I cannot remember all of them.
You had a bunch. You had like all sorts of different tassels you were showing me after. It was like, this is this, and this is this, and this is this.
I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a teacher picked me as like a student. Grizzly Claw, I think.
Yeah. That's one you got up from the school for too, or something.
Yeah.
Or something before graduation on that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I had 2 that were like school related. I had 2 medals. Whatever the rope things are called.
Tassels, yeah.
And then I had the, I think these are tassels.
Those are tassels, yeah. The rope, yeah.
Yeah, and I had 6. I cannot remember them for the life of me. But, Washington Carver was one.
Yes.
Top 10%, Grizzly Claw, and National Honor Society. There's 2 more, but I don't
And that was
remember.
your senior year. Now,
Yeah.
did you do that type of stuff junior year too?
National Honor Society, I did, yeah.
So on top of straight A's, top 10%, all that stuff, it's important to point out that those are the 2 years that you also went to Wales and competed on Team USA, and to Canada, Team USA. Florida too. Florida was the summer before
And
junior
Waco.
year. Yeah, and you
Waco,
also
too.
qualified for Team USA and Waco. So in those 2 school years, you fought IKF Worlds in Florida. You qualified for Waco Team USA. You qualified for WKU Team USA 2 years in a row, which we went to. We did not do Waco, but we did the WKU ones because of just too much money for you to do that on top of your grades and everything else. So that's a huge accomplishment. That's pretty big when, I meet adults that if they work a 40-hour week, they're like, woohoo, I didn't call in this week. It's man, I went to work every day. I'm going to have a beer. You know, their goals are set so low and so pathetic. And, you know, they're just, oh man, can't wait for the weekend. Going to play some video games and sit around. And they don't do jack crap with their life. And then I come to the school at night and I meet these people during the day, or I see it on social media, whatever it is. You know, someone the other day was like, oh, I love it when I'm laid off all winter. And I'm like, huh? You like just sitting at home all winter? Okay. And then I come up to school and then, you know, you're getting straight A's, you're doing all these clubs, you're winning all these awards in school and representing your country, fighting, losing weight, getting in shape. Oh, yeah. And teaching classes on top of that, because those 2 years you were teaching the youth kickboxing stuff at the school, the class, building your lesson plans, working with the kids, doing the workouts with them. Like, that's a lot. I don't think people sometimes realize that. They're like, oh, it's a high school kid. Well, if I was in high school, I could lose weight and compete and do all that stuff too. It's like, could you? Are you in the top 10% at your work? Could you be in the top % at your job and do that stuff in the evening? Like, let's see you do that. Let's see your boss give you a bunch of awards because you did so good at work and you put in all this extra stuff and you lost weight and you fought. Like, a lot of fighters don't have a full-time job. If they do, they're okay at it. Like, they're not killing it all day, killing it all night. Like, that's a huge accomplishment. And it shows, like, when you say you're going to go to school and then you're going to do your interns and, you know, see where you go, maybe own your own thing one day, that's totally possible because you've already done way harder crap than that before you're out of high school.
Yeah.
Before you're 18, you've accomplished more than, shoot, I would say 80% of adults in the world. I would say it's probably higher than that if there was a stat of a way to look it up, like, you know, performance wise. I don't even know how we would look that up, but I know if I took my Facebook feed and looked at 10 people, you've probably accomplished more than those 10 people. Not saying that about everybody, but it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a really big deal. You should be very proud of. I know your parents are very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. I brag about you guys all the time. Why? Why do that?
I don't know.
Why? Like, you think about it. Why? Like, what is it? You said it earlier. You've already answered it. Why? The challenge. You said that earlier. It's the weight loss, the mental challenge of doing it and dealing with everything. You know, going overseas, everybody's speaking a different language. There's something about being challenged like that and beating those hurdles or setting those goals and smashing them that some of us are drawn to.
I guess it shows me that I can do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
That the harder the thing that I accomplish is, the more of that I can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. Makes sense to me because that's my mindset with it. Oh, I can't do that? You know, especially if someone says I can't do that. You couldn't do that. Okay. Well, let's add this statement, you know, hold my beer. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's just something that attracts some people. They like the challenges of it. You know, right now, we're not doing as much with the competing because your big challenge right now is college. Mm-hmm. Growing that, you know, you're up here all summer teaching classes. You're up at school every night. What do you see as like a next big challenge or something that interests you?
Honestly, school. I know it's like cliche, but I'm finally starting to take harder classes. Not that I didn't have hard classes, but they're more major specific, so I have to try harder. And I already know that it's going to be much more of a challenge than it was before. So
you didn't try that hard last year when you had the 4.0?
I did, but the classes were easier.
I know what you mean. Do these classes interest you more?
Some of them I don't really like, but I kind of have to take them for what I want to do. And it makes sense why I have to take them. But like civil engineering goes directly with architectural engineering, but I really don't like civil engineering.
Civil engineering is where they do the land, right?
It's lots of concrete work, tunnels, bridges, all that stuff. And I just don't like it, but I have to take several of those classes to get my major.
Really?
And so some of them I hope I like, but I know one next semester I already know that I'm not.
Yeah.
But I have to it's surveying, so like land surveying.
That's
and
what,
I
yeah,
just
that's what
have
I was thinking.
I just have to know how to read those plans. I don't have to actually do it like the civil engineering majors do, but I have to know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And so I know I don't want to jinx myself, but I don't think I'm going to like the class, but I know it'll really help out.
Yeah, well, and there's going to be things like that along your path. There, like you said, you don't like to run, but we had to run a ton of sprints. There's just things you're going to come across that you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be things that are going to suck. You know, you have to embrace that and do it because it's getting you to this other goal. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong too is, well, I don't like to do that. This really sucks. And then they don't achieve a bigger goal because they gave up on that one part that sucked.
Yeah.
You know, I work out every day, and people are like, oh, you know, it's really light. No, I don't. I wish I just was healthy and thin and didn't have to work out without being sore. But if I'm going to jump around and do kicks and train with you guys, I have to.
Yeah.
Do I want to? No. There are so many mornings that I'm like, oh, come on, Ring. Come on, someone needs something. I do not want to walk in the gym. And I'm like, 3, 2, all right, going inside, getting my workout. You know, I don't jump up like, oh, I get to go. You know, there's just parts of it that you do. I do that so I can keep up with you guys at the school. You're going to do that class because it's going to get you to that goal. It's part of life. It's what we have to do.
Yeah. And I have to take a summer class right now in order to take certain classes next semester.
Yeah.
And if I don't really like taking a class over the summer, but I know I have to in order to have a proper schedule. So it's like, I don't want to do it, but I know I have to in order to graduate sooner, I guess. Or else I wouldn't have had a full schedule.
Now, will it be a 4-year?
Yeah.
Full 4 years for you
Yeah.
at school? Now, then how will that look like once graduation hits? Like when you enter the workforce, what are you expecting, like financially with jobs and stuff like that? Like you said there is a need out there, so does that mean it pays a little better, or is this one of those where you start out, you know, scratching at 2 rocks, rubbing 2 pennies together until you know, seems like some jobs like that you start out really low until maybe you're at this level of the position, and then it's like, okay, cool, now this pays really well.
I'm not sure about the pay for the job kind of I want, but my school specifically has a very high, like, I don't know what it's called, but you graduate, you're more
employment.
likely to have a job. And so they also give us like the average salary for each major, and mine is like between 60 and 75,000, like starting, yeah. Yeah. And so I'm hoping that is true for me, depending what I do. But I feel like, I don't want to like be cocky, but I feel like the more I do something, I feel like I'll be really good at it, and I will definitely make more and more as I go through.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just being confident about what you do. I mean, you look at what you've done just in the last 2 years of high school. There's no one going to listen to this and doubt you're not going to be really good at this and really get into it. Yeah. Are you still wanting to pursue the, you know, fitness and the health stuff as a hobby?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it just makes me feel better about myself. And the days,
I know you said you really enjoy it.
Yeah, and the days that I don't, it's like, ugh. Like it. But I do at school. Like, we have a gym, and I get a free access to it. So I go at least 3 times a week because I'm so busy. But after school, I'll probably still keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just
as a you thing. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always done that too. Like, I don't mind working out. I love teaching martial arts, but like back when you were little bitty, I did the fitness classes with your mom and dad. Like, I never really fell in love with that stuff. I've got friends that are trainers. They love it. They love helping everybody hit those goals. That for me doesn't have anything. Like, I like to learn about it, so I know I'm doing stuff correctly, and I get excited if I learn something that I know can help us with martial arts. Yeah. But as far as just getting in shape, or, you know, I understand enough about nutrition to help, you know, I know what we should eat, we shouldn't eat, different things. But as far as you like a proper weight cut, that's where Jess comes in. That's her department, not mine. You know, the ones I've done by myself, I definitely did not feel as good as when I did them with Jess.
I agree.
It's a huge difference there. But there's so many aspects to all this stuff. you're going into your second year of school. Like, how does that schooling like move forward for you? You got the first year, now your second year. You said the classes this year are harder, or
Yeah.
could be a little different. How does that progress? Like, I didn't go to college. So in high school, I know you had like this math, and the next year went to this math, and next year went to this math.
Yeah.
How do your classes progress for that stuff?
It's kind of similar. Like math at my school is exactly like that. You
Okay.
start in this one, then you just go up and up and up until you get to the last
There's
one.
4 more levels of math in college.
I think I have 5, but it
Wow.
changes each semester.
Shows you how much I know about math. I can balance the checkbook. That's, yeah.
My major has the second most, I think.
Wow.
Like each major has a set amount of math they need. Like environmental science only needs like 1 or 2 math classes, whereas electrical engineers need 6. I need 5. Like it just depends on what they're doing, and so that just advances like it would in high school. But then there's other classes that like you have to take chemistry in order to take this class, and so I had to take chemistry in order to take these 2 classes that like physics. You have to take chemistry, I think, to do physics. And like I have to have my calculus class done in order to take the surveying class
Yeah.
that I need. So it just kind of flows like it would in high school, but not like math 1, math 2, math 3,
Yeah.
math 4.
So you have to do this one to get into that one. And that's
Yeah.
how you kind of progress through your 4
Yeah.
full years.
The only thing that's different is in high school most classes are a year long, like the core classes. In college, it's usually a semester, but if it's a year-long class, like my school does a Calc 1A and 1B. That would be like your year-long class, but it's broken into 2 semesters.
Okay.
So you learn half of it in the first semester, and then you take the second half the next semester. So I'm taking the second half right now
Nice.
over the summer.
Oh, okay.
So then I'll be in Calc 2 next semester, and then 3 the one after that. So that just kind of flows as you go.
Now, the last part of your schooling, do you do more interning, more hands-on stuff that year? Just curious how that would work in like a 4-year school like that, if that last year or two was more hands-on, getting you prepared for the job market.
Yeah, it is. In the first year is just prereqs, like for everything, gen
Okay.
eds and stuff. So like just basic classes. And then you do that some more your second year, and then junior year, and then senior year you have like senior design. And that's usually like the most hands-on.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of building and projects and designing and stuff in that year. And junior year you do 2. But senior year it's just all that. You don't really have
Really?
like at my school at least.
Yeah, no, and that makes a lot of sense. I was curious if they get you ready in that aspect
Yeah.
of you're getting to do a lot of hands-on, maybe even doing things that would draw attention from a firm that wants to bring you in, or
Yeah.
if they're looking, like if I was an architectural engineering business and I was, somebody that had maybe 2 people working for me and I was looking at expanding, I would be wanting to get involved with those schools to see who has the talent,
Yeah.
who's showcasing it. That's how you're going to get the good jobs. You're going to
Yeah.
get that boss that's passionate about it like you are. I would think they would want their hands in that pot checking that out.
Yeah, and they do career fairs
Yeah.
each semester. The fall one's usually the big one. So I went to that last year, like just to scope it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And they actually do require you to graduate to at least intern or do a co-op, which is a semester, basically internship.
Yeah.
But you're working a whole semester. You have to do like a design team. You have to do something to graduate. And so I plan on doing a design team and an internship at some
Cool.
point, because the design teams all have different majors on them. Like there's a Formula race car one, or there's a solar house, which I'm interested in because it's a house.
Yeah, it
And
makes sense.
That's what I like to do. But each one has all of these different majors working together.
Oh, cool. So you got this
Yeah.
one that's doing this part, this one doing that part.
Yeah.
The electrical engineers come in, work on that part. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really neat. Now, do you guys physically build? Like, do
Yes.
they physically build the house?
And some of the teams compete. Like I know the solar house has competed before, and they go to they have to transport the house to like some competition.
Yeah.
And then they keep them at the school. There's like a village that they have all the solar houses, and students live in them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. That's neat. That'd be something I could see you sinking your teeth into, the competition aspect of it and
Yeah.
everything.
I think it would be fun. but I was a freshman and it didn't feel right for me yet because they were all juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
So me and my friend are kind of waiting till maybe this year to join. But
Oh, and that's something you can do every year? Mm-hmm. Cool.
And you can even be president of it. Like, there's officers, they do different things. Or you could just be a member.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always room to do something like that that's going to get the creative part going too for you, and the challenging part with the competition and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So where do you let's wrap this up with kind of like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Let's do 5. That gives you 2 years out of school.
Well, hopefully working.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully have my own place. Not sure on that yet.
That's part of your mom's 5-year plan, definitely. You'd have your own
Yeah,
place.
probably. But I don't know. Probably just working, maybe still at Boyer. I don't know for sure. But just
Well, it depends on where your job takes you. You
Yeah.
know, you get something offered big that's out of state, that's something that happens.
yeah.
Brett and I talk about that all the time. It sucks. You guys all grow up, you do so good, and then you go on to these cool things, and they're not always local.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
you've been
hoping-
lucky. You've been
yeah.
lucky with your schooling that you've been able to stay more than I think you've probably been able to come to class a lot more than you expected.
Yeah.
I knew you'd come, but I feel like it's more than you thought you would have time for.
Yeah. And my breaks are a lot longer than I thought, too.
Yeah, your breaks are crazy long.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you message Stacy the days you're going to be up, I'm like, did they kick her out? She's like, no, that's her break. I'm like, wow. Yeah, what was your spring break, like 3 weeks?
No, spring break was only a
Fall?
week.
Which
but
one was long? You had one
Christmas
that was
break was 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You had one that was like stupid long. You're like, no, I'm here for like another month. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So I really like that, honestly, because I can come back and get back into the class and stuff. But I do like, and that was part of college that I found nice, is I start around the same time as everyone. I get longer breaks, and then I get out way before everyone.
Yeah.
And to me, it makes sense, but it doesn't. And so it's like, because the classes are so much harder than high school, and your hours are so much longer, you're doing so much more work, so we get the benefits of having longer breaks. And
That makes sense.
yeah.
It's a give and take.
And
So your 5-year plan, out of school, settling into your new career. I'd say
Yeah.
2 years, a good settling in time for something that's going to be a lifelong pursuit.
yeah.
Still training, still working hard, and just enjoying it. Got your own place, which is smart too with if you can get out of school, get your job, and still live at home for a little bit while you get your feet wet. It's a
Yeah.
big deal because the housing market's not going to get any cheaper. Nothing's going to cost less in 5 years. It's just all going to cost more. So, planning for that and being able to be frugal and have that benefit. I've painted several houses where people have kind of set it up to where their kids can come back after college.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Great that you have that opportunity. So
Yeah.
anything you want to end on today, or?
Not that I
Yeah, good.
think
You
of.
talked a lot more than I thought you would. You did awesome. I'm excited for you. I was super pumped that you said you wanted to do this. So, 11 years, I tell you all the time, super proud of you, super excited for this. I was super excited for this episode. We just got one left. I bring on Emily. Mano a mano. I deal with Emily by myself. No. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. This has been just awesome watching Riley grow up over the last almost 11 years. Actually, it's been longer than that because I know mom and dad longer than you've been in class. So been probably 12, 13, 14 years, something like that, of watching her. That this is a super cool one for me. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, subscribe, check out our sponsors. They are the best, because without them, I couldn't do this and we couldn't bring you this great podcast. So hope everybody has a good day.